Late Night Sesh with Evie. I am your host, Miss Evie, and welcome to the first episode. This is gonna be a podcast. It's a little bit of mixture. This is where I will most likely be doing all my studying, research, and you can watch all the research and studying with me. I am a freelancer, a bookkeeper, and I am neurodivergent. I'm also extremely sarcastic sometimes. I've gone through my own trauma in life, so I definitely have some dark humor. Yeah. But I wanted to talk about this podcast. So this is a podcast where I wanna do research for true crime and politics and maybe a little bit of chisme out there, a little bit of gossip, because we can all hear about Miss Ash Trevino, which I don't know about you guys. Every time like I talk about her, like it's gonna drink my water. Whatever. Okay, well, jokes aside, I created a podcast to be able to talk more. I have a speech impairment. I know this isn't like the whole deal of the podcast. Basically, I want to be able to talk about life events, things that are happening right now in the world, things that maybe I want to talk about with other people and I just don't know who to talk about. I often like to do a little bit of research of accounting since I am a bookkeeper, and not only do I do bookkeeping as my 9 to 5, I also do it for freelance. So I always have to keep up with different industries, and it's very interesting. And the industry that has me a little bit more excited about is probably like, I would say the legal like law firms. I really like doing their work because I get to see how their books manage, how to reconcile all their IOTA accounts and such. But when I'm doing my work, I like to listen to long videos. I like to talk to someone when I'm doing these videos because who doesn't like some who they could talk to, right? I'm the type of people that even though I'm working, I'm listening to a true crime documentary, some music, most definitely true crime, especially in the past couple of years. I've been more into true crime. I do have another podcast called uh, True Crime. No, I'm sorry, filed under True Crime, and I actually only have one episode, and it's for the baby Emmanuel case here in Yucaipa, California, where his parents claimed he went missing, and then it turns out that they're the ones that allegedly, well, no, the father said he was guilty, so he killed his baby. And then we're still waiting on Rebecca Harold. Her trial was supposed to be this month. I mean, not this month. It's February 1st. It was supposed to be on January 1st, and it was postponed until March for reasons, something about evidence, I think. I'm not really sure, but I do have to do a recap on it. I actually only have the one episode, and he deserves an update. So I will actually want to do a whole recap of redo the whole thing for that podcast. So I think I think probably in the next month I wanna hopefully make that my goal and finish that episode and be more persistent. But my goal is to be more social, be able to speak more to improve my speech impairment. And I know right now I'm babbling, but the reason why I wanted to start doing podcasts because I think the world needs to know what's going on. There's not much information being talked about the Epstein files right now, and I really want to do more research on it. So if you guys want to support me, please do. You can subscribe, like, and when you subscribe, make sure you hit the little bell notification, and so I could get some followers. I know I'm just rambling now. I'm choosing not to do a script because of my speech impairment and then social anxiety. Um, it doesn't always I don't wanna be perfect, and I also don't wanna sound like I'm trying to be perfect. If it is, it's because I want it to all sound natural. It's honestly, anything moving forward, it's gonna be the Fair Use Act, for research, entertainment purposes only, and to spread awareness as well. So I wanna talk about something really important going on in the world, as I mentioned before, 'cause I keep rambling. But we wanna talk about what's been going on with the Epstein files. On January 30th, they released a new set of government files, and I'm all here for it. I was already listening to the first set of cases, but I ended up taking a break because it was a lot. It was a lot to really listen to, and these stories are not for everyone to listen to, but just know that if you have someone telling you that it's bad, it's bad, guys. I don't know about you guys, and I know a lot of the stuff is allegedly, but I don't want any pedos in my government. So I want to spread awareness. I want to catch up on what's been going on. I know I kind of listened to this at work, but I wanted to pay more attention to it now, and I don't want to do it on my own. We're going to go ahead and watch Midas Network, Ben Misalas. Misalas? I'm sorry if I botched your name. I love his work so far. Like, and they all work with the government. I can't remember his background, but I think in the next episode, I might be able to tell you a little bit more. But let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and find out more about the Midas Network. Before we continue, I just want to say that this episode is sponsored by my own freelance company, Home Haze. It's a bookkeeping and compliance company, and I also do public notary in Southern California as well. If you guys would like to support me, I do free consultations and help you guys sort out your books for your businesses. I've done S corp, C corps, and LLCs are probably the main companies I work with. I would love to have more experience, as I believe working in the accounting industry is really based more on experience, for the reason that each industry and each business, each entity, each person, everything is run completely different. So no matter, even if you're working in the same industry and switching jobs, it all just really depends on how that company does its work. So not I always tell people it doesn't matter where you go to, like, as long as you understand how accounting works and how it flows, and from point A to point Z, and learning how to do it both ways, the front end of the business and the back end of the business, and then you'll have a full understanding of how businesses should actually run. And I only say it because a lot of people don't understand what it takes to communicate between the departments within a business. And that's extremely important, is having that communication between your departments in order for you to succeed in your finances, or else you're never going to go anywhere. And that's what I do. I like to help people fix that problem. My main experience is workflow and learning how to communicate departments within each other so that the accounting department could do the work without, disturbing the other process flow, and then we could get things going and, you know, stuff like that. I know I'm rambling now, but okay, let's get back to it. Let's watch let's watch Ben from Midas Network.
Donald Trump is panicking as an additional release of 3 million Epstein file documents has been absolutely devastating for him and his regime. Even despite the cover up efforts by Trump and his DOJ, it is still devastating. Let me tell you what's gone down, and I'm going to read for you some of the most devastating documents that have been released. So, the Trump DOJ earlier today, through Todd Blanche, Deputy Attorney General, said that they were going to release 3 million documents from the Epstein files. They said they collected 6 million documents from the Epstein files, but we're only going to release about 50% of it because they said that was the only group that was actually relevant. Let's be clear.
I was pretty ashamed of how they worded it. I was appalled by that interview. It really made me question his credibility of being a prosecutor and taking care of these files.
highly suspect, highly suspicious. We should not believe anything that they are saying, and we should demand all of the documents be produced. But from this 3 million documents that have been produced, there is very, very damaging stuff to Donald Trump and his cabinet and people like Howard Lutnick and Elon Musk. And even the new person Donald Trump's appointed as the chairman of the Federal Reserve, who's listed in these new documents, and others. We'll go through that. Also, you should note that these survivors are absolutely livid right now. Despite the Trump DOJ saying it took so long for us to release these 3 million documents so we could find the most relevant and responsive documents and protect the survivors and protect the victims. Well, a lot of the
Sorry, I have captions because I just need captions, okay?
documents that were released gave personal identifying information of these survivors and gave other information of these survivors and victims. And so the lawyer for these survivors and survivors themselves are absolutely livid. They're pissed that and they're re-traumatized that their names have been outed again in ways that could be very harmful to them. And also, you're hearing from these survivors that they are extremely
And by the way, Midas Touch was the first network to actually tell us that after the first release, they went ahead and deleted files and then re-released it. And he'll actually say what the files were because I mean I kind of know what the files are, but I don't know exactly what they are, but he will explain it. But okay, let's get into it.
not trusting anything that this Trump DOJ is doing right now. They believe that this is
I have zero trust in the DOJ right now. Like they should all be investigated. Their finances should be investigated. I'm just saying, like allegedly, they haven't done anything wrong, allegedly, but I don't believe it. I I don't believe anything. I don't believe anything that they say. Like no one should believe anything that they say right now, and that should be very scary for all of us.
just more of the cover up by the Trump DOJ. Donald Trump's name is mentioned many times in the new documents that were released. Let me make this point as well. There haven't been any photos or videos or audio that's been released. And there should be video, audio, photos that are released with, of course, appropriate redactions
Yes, there should be something, and it's just nothing. It's just nothing available.
and appropriate protection of victim rights. So that doesn't even exist in this. And when we saw there was, the 18,000 files produced by the Epstein estate several months ago, lots of photos there as well with Trump in those photos. Okay, let's go through some of these emails that were produced in this batch. I've gone through all 3 million documents. And so that's what I've been doing all morning. Let me show you what.
By the way, 3 million after redaction is only like a couple 100,000 pages. So it's not like, like it's not like actually million. Like if you actually think about it, they redacted so many things that weren't needed to be redacted and left things that should have been redacted, like the victims' names were not redacted. Okay, let's just continue.
What is in these documents, and Trump's name is mentioned many times. So here's an email from Jeffrey Epstein.
One too many times should be enough for this case, for any pedophile case, by the way. So for him, like, I'm so upset when they said it was a whole hoax. Like, how could it be a hoax and then your own people release these files having your name on it with what you did? It's just, allegedly, okay, allegedly. Please don't come after me. I'm just going with what's been presented in front of me and what I've been listening and such. So please don't come in front of me. I mean, don't come for me. I'm just speaking what I know, what I've been seeing come out from the DOJ themselves.
To a lady by the name of Kathy Rumler. Kathy Rumler was a lawyer at a large corporate law firm. She almost served as like an advisor to Epstein during this period of time. This is an email from March 30th, 2016, from Epstein to his advisor, Kathy Rumler. And here's what is stated. Epstein says, again, March 30th, 2016, Trump is likely to be asked questions soon about me. In an ideal world, what do you think he should and could say? Then Epstein's advisor says the following. I knew Epstein professionally and always had positive dealings with him. I don't know anything about his personal legal issues other than what I have read in public reports and therefore don't have any comment. So Epstein and his advisor are working on statements to give to Donald Trump to cover up his relation. relationship with Epstein. And then Epstein says, supposedly a girl said that Donald had sex with her at my house when she was underage. She said she has a witness in 1993. Pottinger story 2 weeks ago said
Also, I'm sorry if you guys see me fidget a lot. Actually, recently had a fractured tailbone, so um, like I tend to move like when it starts to hurt a little, I'll like switch position. I do have a special pillow, those special donut pillows, the U. So it's a whole thing. Like it's the reason why. Well, the whole story. If you guys want me to tell you, you can tell me in the comments if you want. But let's go back.
that Pottinger wanted to meet him. I emailed back, do not meet. You are not involved. Yesterday, said someone sent me, Pottinger worked his way into my office to tell me that. Very annoyed, I called and got his telling the above, that a girl in 1993 was saying that when she was underage,
Okay, so now he's reading everything else that was in the email.
she said she was a witness. A girl said that Donald Trump had sex with her at my house when she was underage. Okay, that's in the documents. Underage girl saying sex.
And remember, when you read an email, you kind of have to read from the bottom up, because that's how the tier connection goes, right? You know, I hope we all know how email responses go.
With Donald Trump. Epstein is mentioning that right here in a March of 2016 email. Then you have this email right here from December 2017. You have this email right here, and it says the following. I'm okay, still waiting for a New York trip, taking the family to Dubai for the new year. I forgot to ask you, is there any new update about the Saudi project that I sent you? And then he's having a conversation here with a business partner. So Epstein and a business partner. And the business partner says, I'm at the door, but I will wait for my time. I don't want to come early to find Donald Trump at your house. Smiley face emoji. That's December 22nd, 2017. There's this email between Jeffrey Epstein and someone by the name of Nicholas Ribis. This is from March 22nd, 2011. Nick, the girl in the new papers that has made all this trouble said she worked at Mar-a-Lago when she was 15 in 1998. Virtually positive that is a lie. It was when she was 17 in 2000. Her name is redacted. Who would I go to verify? Don't know how Donald, referring to Donald Trump, would respond.
I mean, what would be the difference of a 2-year difference? She's still underage. Anything under 18 is underage, sir.
And there's this email, March 22nd, 2011. It's from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell right here. Here's the email. I thought you said not to involve Donald. Again, this is from Ghislaine to Jeffrey Epstein, rather. I thought you said not to involve Donald. Anyway, so now the die is cast. You now have to get her employment
Sorry,
records.
guys.
It will either show she started work in 1999 or 2000 as she was full-time there, and I believe you cannot be a minor and work full-time anywhere. So she had to be at least 16 to be in full-time employment. Perhaps start that way. That alone would kill her allegations that she was 15. As I said, you can't work full-time anywhere at that age. Either that or she gave a fake ID to Mar-a-Lago, which is also possible. However, let's see if you get the info, and please confirm the labor law. So Ghislaine telling Jeffrey, now the die is cast. I thought you said we should hide Donald, avoid mentioning Donald, but now that he's involved, we need to find out about this girl who's saying she's 15 and that she was at Mar-a-Lago. We think that she was 17 years old. Let's take a look at this next one right here. Subject alert. What does Jeffrey Epstein think of going to Mar-a-Lago after Christmas instead of his island? And it is sent on September 28th, 2012. And
I
it is a message that says, Jeffrey Epstein, what do you think of going to Mar-a-Lago? It says, what does Jeffrey Epstein think of going to Mar-a-Lago after Christmas instead of his island? That's notable because Donald Trump and Epstein claim that they broke off their relationship sometime around 2004, 2007-ish, but they were obviously
I thought they said it was like around 2003 is when they stopped, like being seen in public, and he didn't and he was saying that he was no longer or didn't know or whatever, was like nothing to him. I don't know. Definitely need to do a whole research, more research. It was a couple of years ago when I first started research, and then it was just going like bits in between. But it wasn't until like now that I started listening to the witness statements, um, starting being more into these stories, because I actually don't really see this in like in my social media algorithm, which is so weird because if I'm into this stuff, you assume I would be seeing more information on this on my social feeds based on my algorithm, right? So it just shows me how much the government, maybe not the government, but how much they may be blocking out a lot of this stuff, especially because some of this stuff does prohibit a lot of the guidelines. So sometimes a lot of trigger words will shut down the video on its own based on whatever is said, or people don't believe it, so they report it. But I think now we should be talking about it. This is extremely serious. This is here just in the United States. Beatrice, was it I think it was Beatrice. She's, yes, Beatrice. Because she did an interview with the Conspiracy Files, which if you guys want me to do, we could do the Conspiracy Files actually. Did a whole Epstein series for over a year ago since before they started releasing the files or right when they started to. So if you want, we could do like a series covering covering that series. And just to let you know that this show is basically for people like me who work long hours and we don't want to be switching channels all the time, and we prefer like long base videos, and this is your video. I want to talk to you like you're my coworker, like we're working together. I actually sometimes have study sessions with my friends where they come over and we'll have like periods where we're not even talking to each other. Sorry, we're not even talking to each other. We're just doing whatever we need to do that needed to get done, that week on our computers or whatever, planners, So, like, that's what I want us to be. So we're gonna be like work besties. Um, or YouTube videos. Okay, let's continue watching. Well, Loli gets settled in.
Still in communication in 2012. And then there was this very devastating document that was produced. In an interview with FBI agents, a survivor told the agents that Ghislaine Maxwell presented her to Donald Trump, making clear she was available. Again, this isn't a tip. What I'm about to read for you is what's called an FBI 302, an interview with agents.
By the way, what I love about the Midas Touch Network is that they every time most of the time that they do their coverage about things, they explain things to us. Like they go in definition or they may give examples if anything, and that's what I like about Midas Touch. So you guys, if you guys so far like him, you guys could subscribe to his channel and like his video. Go rewatch it without the pauses.
So it says redacted, because that's the name of the survivor, never dated Donald Trump. Maxwell took, the name is redacted, to a party in New York. And it goes on to say Maxwell seemed very excited that there would be a lot of great men for redacted to meet. Redacted felt that Maxwell presented her and gave a rundown of blank accolades similar to a CV. Maxwell presented redacted to Trump, and they had a conversation for approximately 20 minutes. Redacted was invited to Mar-a-Lago, where she was given a tour by Trump with Epstein and Maxwell present. Nothing happened between Redacted and Trump. By the things that Maxwell said, it was made clear that Redacted was available. Maxwell said things like, "Oh, I think he likes you. Aren't you lucky? This is great." There was an article that came out with Redacted and Trump. Redacted thought she was around 22 years old. Redacted was given suggestions on things to wear. Maxwell said things like, "Oh, he'll like that. He doesn't like that." It was set up very much like how Maxwell introduced Redacted to Epstein. Maxwell introduced Redacted to, and there's more redactions. There was definitely a pretext that this guy was for so and so. Redacted and Redacted are friends. They dated much later. Redacted described, again, more redactions, as a good guy. Redacted told so and so that someone from the government had reached out to him. Maxwell introduced so and so to, there was definitely a pretext that this guy was for. Then it goes on to say, Maxwell introduced another man, and it goes on to describe additional things. And it said, Redacted has fear around Maxwell, describes Maxwell as an extremely dangerous person, felt the behavior she had witnessed that Maxwell is a sociopath and she's sociopathic, and has fear if Maxwell is not convicted. And that was an FBI report. It's called the 302. Then there was this document right here that was posted by the DOJ. Then the DOJ immediately removed it after the Midas Touch flagged what was in this document. The new Epstein, this is what we wrote on the Midas Touch. Then the DOJ removed it. Then they put it back up. Here's what we wrote. The new Epstein files production features numerous allegations made against Donald Trump and others. Fortunately, we saved the document because when we clicked back on it about 30 minutes after we posted on it, you got this. Page not found. We are sorry, the page you're looking for cannot be found on the Department of Justice website. Then there was a massive pressure campaign against the DOJ because we posted it on our Substack, MidasPlus.com. Go check out our Substack, by the way. So then once it was on our Substack, the DOJ just posted it anyway because they figured Midas Touch already posted it on their Substack. So what could they do? So this is what was in that document. Again, these are allegations made against Donald Trump, and these are not corroborated. They're just allegations. Let me be very clear. That's all they are. We don't know the extent of what's happened. Obviously, this DOJ can't be trusted with anything, even if they say that
They really can't. I'm telling you, this administration cannot be trusted. Even prior administration, Bill Clinton administration needs to be investigated as well.
they reject the allegations, but there are things like this mentioned. Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called.
By the way, I do want to issue a trigger warning, as this could be triggering for those who have experienced either DV, SA. I myself am a SA victim, and something I don't really say, but it's kind of triggering, but it's not in a way where I want to keep silent. It makes me want to speak up and help spread more awareness, which is kind of why I'm doing this first episode on this, because I think it's extremely important to spread this around, because we cannot have people like this in office. I'm sorry, but we cannot have people like this in office.
Calendar Girls. Jeffrey
Allegedly, all of these allegations have too much in common between too many strangers. Just keep that in mind.
Epstein would bring the children and Trump would auction them. I mean, it goes on. He measured their vaginas and vulvas. I mean, it gets absolutely grotesque. You can go to, if you want to read this document, you can go to MidasPlus.com.
I'm
I have the
sorry,
whole
Lily.
document. I'll read you a little more from this, but if you want to read the full thing,
I try not to get emotional. I think I scared Loli, but it's just this is just unacceptable. This isn't what law should be. This isn't this is it. This is extremely unacceptable, and we need to start fighting for our laws to be put in place and to put these alleged criminals to be investigated. You know, they've, for the most part, from what I understand, supposedly they've never been investigated, or most of the victims haven't even been questioned about the allegations. So it's just really, it's upsetting. It's upsetting of the person who we had in charge of these files. Um, he should not have been in charge, especially because he was the criminal attorney or yeah, criminal attorney of Donald Trump, and then he had to take care of these files. Like, there should be some type of moral or some type of law saying that no one related to you, or that, if you're being accused of being in the file, then he should have never been in the atmosphere of those files, if you get my grip. Anyone, like, I don't know how much the government works, and I don't know much about politics, but you know what? If you're coming here, we're gonna find out together. We're gonna learn together, and networks like Midas Touch will teach us. Okay, and these are actually some of the lawyers that worked in politics, the government. I think corporate lawyers, you'll see a lot of different lawyers and attorneys and politics and such, and when they do interviews. So it's pretty, I actually like this type of, um I've been enjoying this type of media news, if that makes sense. I really hate our old style news. I don't like it anymore. I don't trust them anymore. So, like, I think networks like this should exist, right? Should exist to teach us and show us, um, the truth, and who are bipartisan in the middle of what's right and what's wrong and such. But let's continue watching, as we go. I think we're almost done. We have about, like, 20 more minutes, maybe less. I'm just guesstimating.
go to MidasPlus.com. I know me reading this document can be very triggering. And it says, blank reported that unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing oral sex. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein. And then there's lots of stuff like this in this document. Again, MidasPlus.com. If you want to read it, let me be very clear. These are not corroborated, but these are complaints that were made and are in the files. And remember what Todd Blanche said. He said that they had reviewed 6 million, and they viewed these documents as the relevant ones to produce. So this was produced by the DOJ, and then they immediately tried to remove it. I think this is notable as well. Trump's new pick for chairman of the Federal Reserve made an appearance in today's Epstein file release. You see right there, Kevin Warsh. Kevin Warsh is now Trump's pick to be the new chairman of the Federal Reserve, but he's in this email. Kevin Warsh, Raymond McGuire, Ghislaine Maxwell, Brett Ratner, John Pagozzi. So other familiar names appear right there. Let's take a look as well what this email is all about, where Kevin Warsh's name appears and Brett Ratner. Brett Ratner was the director of the Melania movie, and Ghislaine. This was an email, December
Gross.
21st, 2010, subject St. Barth's. Here is the list I just sent Harvey. I'm not sure if that's Harvey Weinstein. How many people are with you tomorrow? Do you know blank? Steve Cohen next door to me, just met him, and Larry Gogo next to the Isle de France. Keep me posted. Please look this over. I think Roman's boat is bigger than Ron Perlman's. Here is a list of everyone I know that's coming down so far. Please advise where and when to screen. This is the St. Bart's Christmas party of 2010 off the Isle de France or the Hotel Taiwana. And then there are all these names listed like Roman Abramovich, Kevin Warsh, and all those names you see right there. As I mentioned at the outset, Brett Ratner, Ghislaine Maxwell, and others. As I mentioned at the outset, the lawyer for the survivors is saying that the DOJ violated the trust of victims with insufficient redactions
Yes, major violations.
on what was already produced. This is a statement from the lawyer of the survivors, Bradley Edwards. Bradley Edwards says the following. The department has been in possession of a comprehensive list of victims of Jeffrey Epstein for months. In that time, they have spoken directly with several terrified women who they promised to protect through a fulsome redaction process. Their complete and utter failure to do so would lead
Very
any
nice.
reasonable person to believe that these violations are no mistake. There are not words to express our disappointment, he added. Essentially,
See, the reason why I say they're not mistakes because the problem was that they were redacting the names that should have not been redacted of those who were being accused and left the victims. That was the urgency, is to, in my opinion, and in my opinion, my own thoughts, was the urgency was to redact the names of those billionaires and the people who had the money and power versus the victims. That was the urgency. That's what it reflects. That is what shows in their actions to me.
survivors are saying this was done maliciously by the Trump regime in order to attack and defame and harm and re-traumatize the survivors. So to be clear, the Trump regime has withheld 3 million of the 6 million documents. From the 3 million documents, there have been some pretty devastating documents for Donald Trump, for Howard Lutnick, which I'll talk about in a moment, for Elon Musk, which I'll talk about, also some really bad documents about Bill Gates that I'll share in a moment as well, and others that were in this production. But what was also produced were the names of survivors and victims in a way that re-traumatized them, and that those redactions were not made appropriately right here. Epstein survivor Haley Robson just went on CNN after Todd Blanche held a news conference, and Haley Robson says, "You're not going to gaslight me into thinking that this administration has somehow prioritized survivors." And Haley Robson does not believe that this is the full and the survivors don't believe that this is the full Epstein files that are being produced. And as I mentioned at the outset, it's missing photos, it's missing video, it's missing audio. I think it's missing internal memos, which seem to have been withheld. Other witness reports seem to be.
And the reason why we also know that was because when they released that Epstein estate files, that's how they compared to the ones that were being released to the DOJ files, because those weren't matching with the Epstein files when they should have. So that's how I believe everything kind of started. Don't take my word on it. But, there's some sort of, that's the type of connection, some sort of connection like that. I'm just saying. Okay, let's continue going.
Withheld. And from what was actually produced, they didn't redact the victims' names appropriately. Said before, this is an email from December 25th, 2013. And it says, just a reminder, Elon Musk was asking about coming to your island on January 2nd. It's from Epstein's assistant, Leslie Groff, to Epstein. And here are emails from Elon to Jeffrey Epstein and Leslie Groff. Elon Musk is talking about, actually, I could fly back early on the 3rd. We'll be in St. Bart's. When should we head to your island on the 2nd? So they're all coordinating going to Epstein's island. And you see right there, Elon Musk doing it also. As Kyle Cheney writes, here's Epstein engaging in some really disgusting text messages with a powerful Slavic leader while discussing a relations with Russians and other geopolitical endeavors. They're talking about little girls right here. And it's a guy named Miro Lacic saying, I don't have a girl next to me right now. And then Epstein responds, as you are a diplomat, that says she'll be back in a minute, or she's across the room, or it's a woman and not a girl, or she just left, or there are two. I'm learning your language. And then Myro goes, no, I really don't have a girl next to me right now. Too many eyes are watching me. I mean, how disgusting is that? Too many eyes are watching. And then Epstein goes, it's okay. I have two. And then Myro says, not fair, to which Epstein responds, but I'm not going to be president. Very funny, very funny. You want me to be president? Here's the email right here where Epstein claimed that Bill Gates caught an STD from Russian girls, then discussed secretly medicating Melinda to cover it. I mean, this is some horrific stuff right here. Epstein sends an email to himself, like a note to file, like a memo of what
This is horrific. Like doing it behind her back. It's disgusting. Disgusting behavior.
he wants to say to Bill Gates. This is July 18th, 2013. And then it says,
Like not just the cheating, but like drugging her medication and hoping that she won't notice. You know what I mean?
to add insult to the injury, you then subsequently, with tears in your eyes, implored me to please delete the emails regarding your STD. You request that I provide you antibiotics that you can surreptitiously give to Melinda, and the description of your penis. You also made it clear to me that I am not to refer to blank. That is another topic that must remain between the two of us. In return for all of these requests, which I would have done without a second thought. Then he goes on to basically say that he was in a business relationship with Bill, and he thinks that he's now being treated unfairly by Bill Gates. Right there is basically the email, just reading you all the things that we're seeing in this file right now. Then you have this email as well from Jeffrey Epstein. It says, reminder, Elon Musk Christmas, New Year's Eve. More about Elon Musk going to the island. Also, there were tons of emails and text messages between Steve Bannon and Epstein here as well, where they were mocking Donald Trump and talking about Donald Trump, and lots of emails there. Want to share this with you as well. The new files released also appear to show that Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick discussing visiting the Epstein Island in 2012, when Lutnick previously claimed that he cut off ties around 2005 with Epstein after being revolted by him. Remember that interview we shared with you 5 or 6 months ago where Lutnick gave an interview with the New York Post, and he was like, yeah, Epstein was Lutnick's neighbor like 20, 30 years ago. And Lutnick was like, yeah, he was gross. I showed up and he showed me a massage table and I never talked to him again. Well, it seems that they were talking quite frequently right here. Here's an email from Howard Lutnick to Jeffrey Epstein's assistant, Leslie Groff. And here's what they're talking about. Okay, lunch on Sunday. See you then. And then Leslie Groff to Howard Lutnick. Hi, Matthew and Candace. Might you be able to give so-and-so a few more details regarding lunch this Sunday? Do you know if it will just be Howard and his wife? Any kids coming along? Will they arrive at Jeffrey Epstein's island via their boat? And around what time is good for them? If you could pass along when you know, that would be great. So-and-so are copied here. This is December 12th, December 21st, 2012. So when we have video of Howard Lutnick saying, oh, I never talked to Epstein after I visited his house that one time, they were talking about going to the island together, and we have that email right now for you all to see. Also, we'll share this with you right here. This is from David Ratner to Jeffrey Epstein regarding Howard Lutnick. This is November 14th, 2017. Hi, Jeffrey. Many thanks for your incredible donation in honor of Howard Lutnick. Would you like to take and add and offer your own words of congratulations in our commemorative journal? Are you able to join us at
And I believe Howard Lutnick was the guy that when Trump announced in the Oval Office that this whole Epstein file was a hoax, he was the guy laughing. Could be wrong, but I think that's the guy.
the event itself on December 11th.
Maybe in a different video, if I could find it, I'll show it. I think someone else, I don't know if they cover it, or Brian Taylor or Keith Edward covered it, where they showed the video of him in the Oval Office when Donald Trump said this was a hoax and Howard Lutnick was the guy laughing.
And would you like to take a table inclusive of your generosity? Thank you. And Epstein was giving a $50,000 donation for an event that Howard Lutnick was being honored at. And also, Howard Lutnick invited Jeffrey Epstein to lots of different events, and we have all of the emails of that as well right here. Now, as part of the cover-up right here, Todd Blanche held a press conference earlier today where he told reporters that there are no names in the Epstein files. He says there's no list or names. I just shared with you what was in it already. There are 3 million documents that are still missing. But here's what Todd Blanche had to say. Play this clip.
Look, we said in July.
I just want to prepare you guys. If you haven't heard some of the speeches or part of the clips that they've been showing, just prepare yourself. Just prepare yourself.
And it remains as true today as it was in July. If we had information, we meaning the Department of Justice, about men who abused women, we would prosecute them, right? We talked about the work that we're doing. That's why I said that. I said this earlier. There's this built-in assumption that somehow there's this hidden tranche of information of men that we know about that we're covering up or that we're choosing not to prosecute. That is not the case. I don't know whether there are men out there that abuse these women. If we learn about information and evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But I don't think that.
But he hasn't. He hasn't. The only one guy who only managed the whole entire ring. He only managed it. It was this. For those who don't know, the Epstein cases, whatever, this is global. This went out globally. Not just here in the United States, global.
That the public or you all are.
And there is another video that I do want to cover that shows some of the files regarding the Mar-a-Lago too. Like, I know some of the people will say, oh, this is a conspiracy, but you guys remember these files came from the DOJ. They didn't come from the Democrats. They came from the DOJ. They came from the Republicans themselves. So I don't want to hear that this is all bogus, because this confirms this isn't bogus anymore. Even if it's just allegations, remember, there's too many strangers that have almost the same stories, almost the same type of humiliation, of abuse that they went. Like, some of you who haven't been into this probably don't see it, but the majority of us who have been following this, especially the first release that they did, you'll start connecting like things here and there. Like, it'll start like let's just continue. I'm trying to be bipartisan, but when it comes to stuff like this, especially to children, it's like I'm very, very passionate, and I'm for kids. I don't want anything to happen, kids. So this is just, it's upsetting for everyone. It should be upsetting for everyone.
We're going to uncover men within the Epstein files that abuse women, unfortunately.
And here's what Todd Blanche responded when he was asked if he was in any way coordinating with the White House the release of documents today. Play this clip.
On Epstein, sir, if I may just ask one on that, please. You mentioned a letter to Congress. How and to whom did you notify the White House about the production that you're announcing today before you came out and spoke to us?
How did I do what?
By the White House. What was your interface with the White House? You said there's a letter to Congress. Who did you update at the White House about this?
Well, I don't know. I don't really understand the question. You mean, who did I update?
Did you provide them an explanation of what today's release would be?
Look, my team has certain communications with the White House. Let me just be clear. They had nothing to do with this review. They had no oversight over this review. They did not tell this department how to do our review, what to look for, what to redact, what to not
You see how he deflects her question?
redact. They absolutely knew that I was doing this press conference today and that we were releasing the materials today. But there's not, there's no oversight by the White House into the process that we've undertaken over the past 60 days.
And here's where Lutnick says that the number of responsive documents was only 3 million and not 6 million. Let's play this clip.
He erred on the side of over collecting of materials from various sources to best ensure maximum transparency and compliance, which necessarily means that the number of responsive pages is significantly smaller than the total number of pages initially collected. That's why I mentioned a moment ago, we're releasing more than 3 million pages today and not the 6 million pages that we collected.
And then a reporter asked Lutnick if he can assure the American people that Trump, like every other prominent person whose name came up in the files, did not receive any special treatment. Let's play this clip right here.
Very quickly, can you assure the American public that President Trump, like every other prominent person whose name came up in relation to the Epstein files, that all documents, photos, and anything relevant to him connected to the case are being released?
I mean, yes, I can assure that we complied with the statute, we complied with the act, and there is no, we did not protect President Trump. We didn't protect or not protect anybody. I mean, I think.
I just want you guys to remember he was Donald Trump's criminal attorney. Okay, just remember that, guys.
That there's a hunger or a thirst for information that I do not think will be satisfied by the review of these documents.
In my opinion, knowing what the first link released and knowing that he was Donald Trump's criminal attorney should be a red flag, in my opinion.
And there's nothing I can do about that. But President Trump, of all the people in Washington, D.C. and around this country that have said for years the same consistent message about Jeffrey Epstein is President Trump. And so there's not been a change of course or anything. And certainly his direction to the American people and his direction to the Department of Justice was to be as transparent, release the files, be as transparent as we can. And that's exactly what we did.
Now I want to remind you about Howard Lutnick's interview with the New York Post reporter Miranda Devine on Epstein, where he said, "This guy's gross." Play this clip.
I mean, that's an incredible story that you could pick up that he was a pervert.
It's gross. The guy's gross. Right with my wife. Like, he's gross. The guy's gross. This was not, the deep nuance of Howard Lutnick. This guy's gross.
Right. So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
no, they participated.
Right.
That's what his MO was, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmailed people. That's how he had money. So
what happened to those videos?
You see the fact that he had video surveillance, and from what I saw in the Netflix documentary and what I've seen in other people who have reported, from what I could recall, is he had video. He recorded everywhere. He had hidden cameras mostly everywhere in his properties, not just one property, is in all his properties, especially the island.
Why is there now such a dearth of information when, Donald Trump's people are running the FBI and the DOJ?
I assume way back when.
And the only main reason why I'm covering is not just because of the president, it's because it is related to true crime. I've seen hurt so many people, so many kids, so many teens, so many young adults, so many women, men, women. Didn't really matter, I guess, and for me, that's just unacceptable, and it should be. And it's true, in my opinion, that no one has gotten any justice. you know, even after him getting even him going to 13 months in jail for his, what, second, first? I want to quote on that, but and when he served his 13 months in jail, you know, there is one of the last interviews that Epson did that I actually do want to cover. I have seen other people cover it, and it's been I haven't seen it. I just seen the interview itself. But I'm excited to see other YouTube commentaries cover it and see what else it comes from it. Yeah, let's continue going because this guy is disgusting.
They traded those videos in exchange for him getting.
See, like he uses gross. I use disgusting because that's probably another word beyond disgusting because gross is just like that bottom. Oh, it's just gross, you know, like whatever. But disgusting for me is beyond gross. So he is disgusting.
In that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender. How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade. So my assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos because there were people on those videos.
And have you talked to Donald Trump about this?
I remember a lot of these people. I now, in my opinion, have gathered that they're saying half truth, and I want you guys, if that is true, allegedly everything has been said half truth, then I think we should take everything consideration and go back to everything we know and reconsider because there's things that have been said, especially where Donald Trump himself has said in the past, where he sarcastically and jokingly would say things, but now that I'm considering everything that we know now, it's all half truths, and it just makes you question a lot of things now. It just makes you question everything.
And shared your theory?
No, I mean, he knows the story.
Right.
But
Oh,
like my story, that, you know, I was one and done with the guy. He knows that story, but that's it.
And here's what he said about being invited over to his then neighbor's Epstein house, which he said he never hung out with Epstein ever again. And of course, we now know he's lying based on these emails. Here, let's play this clip right here.
He was your neighbor for 10 years. How well did you know him?
All right. So we are in number 11 and he lives in number 9.
Right.
So we renovate, we buy our house, and our house is pigeons and mice.
Right.
Okay. It was derelict.
Right.
So we rebuild our house. We move in 2005. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in like 08, I think, something like that.
Right.
So knock on the door. His assistant on like a Saturday says, Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. So my wife and I go next door. You know, we walk the 7 steps,
yes,
right, to the next house for coffee.
The fact that he's so kind of, you know, smiles and laughs about it is sus.
Your wall,
right.
So it's New York City. So he invites us in. We have coffee in this, and he says, "Do you want a tour?" We said, "Great,
interesting."
He's got a really big house.
Every room you went into.
He's got. Well, I'll tell you. So his house is like super big, really wide. And so he gives me a tour in the living room, big living room. And then across from it is double doors. I assume it's the dining room.
Yeah.
And he opens the doors and there's a massage table in the middle of the room.
Ooh.
And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. So I was never in the room with him socially.
You see how he tells his wife disgusting and a difference between a reporter. I know it doesn't, for most people don't really know the difference, but for me, I think like language and how people speak does matter. Because as we know in the Epstein files, it was a lot of cryptic. They spoke really cryptically. So like I think it matters in this aspect on how people talk and perceive things and how they were discussing things in the media. In my opinion, like maybe I'm overanalyzing it because I just overanalyze things, but I'm just saying, and again, speculations and what I feel and what my opinions are. I know, like I said, I know this might be some backlash, but I feel like I need to talk to someone about this. And I feel like if I talk to someone like this in person, I might get not overexcited, but maybe overstimulated, as I am neurodivergent. So I passionately like to speak about things, and yeah. So okay, let's continue watching, finishing up the video.
Business or even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
And then finally, you have Epstein with a smiling emoji asks former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak to clarify that he does not work for the Mossad in a meeting with a senior Qatari investment official, and then does a smiling emoji. Can you please tell them that I'm not Mossad? Very suspicious indeed. Oh, also, there appears to be a survivor who was very critical, or someone was very, very critical of the DOJ. Not sure if it was a survivor, someone who's very critical of how the DOJ has been handling things, and sent our reporting at the Midas Touch to the DOJ to criticize the DOJ about all of the stuff that they were hiding. There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. That's the full summary of what went down from those 3 million files.
Okay, guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I could find a community that I could speak to and would like to have these long videos with me and know about, more about these Epstein files. If you want more politics, I would love to open another channel called perhaps Politics Anonymous, and then we could learn politics together and learn about, besides the true crime of the Epstein file, what's going to happen on the politics side. And the Midas Touch and other networks also cover that, so we could go through it together. Maybe we could have some hosts. If anyone would like to join me in watching these videos together, we could do that too. I have a lot of ideas for this show, and not just for the show. Um, I, I'm also excited for my other channel, Found Under True Crime. So please keep in mind, I do have one episode for that one, and I actually am gonna do a recap on that one now that I figured out how I could do the audio and such. I could finally finish the video the way I wanted to redo it. I was doing all the graphics, which I did design, but in the long run, I don't have the time, and I have long commutes to and from work, so I also don't have the energy and, again, no time. So now that I figured out how I want to do everything, I hope you guys could stick with me and, like, go with me through the process. Right now, I am recording in my room. We are in the process of remodeling, but it's not really on the urgent end. For me, what's more important right now, it's my mortgage and bills. That's the most urgent part. So hopefully when the other room gets remodeled, we're gonna switch my bedroom over there, and then this is gonna be the new home office recording studio at the same time. So I'm really excited what this is gonna bring. I'm excited. I'm gonna try to be persistent. I'm gonna try. For those who know me, I'm Evie. This is my channel called Late Night Sesh with Evie, and I hope you guys come back. I hope you guys come back. We'll see you guys another day. I think I'm gonna do another video next, so stay tuned for that one. It might be a short one. It's definitely gonna be a true crime about an incident that happened in Arizona. I think the victim's name was Christian Diaz, so I want to cover that. So we'll be back with you maybe in a couple months, who knows? Definitely don't think I'm going to do a lot of editing in this video since I want to do more in real reactions. So if I burped, I'm sorry. If I coughed, I'm sorry. If I was breathing too hard, I'm sorry. And if petting Loli was a distraction, I am sorry. But I kind of have to or else she cries throughout the whole video. So, that's my daily routine with Loli. Like, she gets my attention. I think we found a really good, not boundary, what's that word? Compromise. We've compromised with this, okay? So in order for me to record, this is what I have to be, because normally I'll be crossing my legs and she'll be like in between my legs while I'm working and typing. But since I have a fractured tailbone, that is very impossible to do now. And it's very extremely painful. And then sometimes my legs go numb for a little bit because they have fallen asleep. So the best compromise I have found. So bye guys. We'll talk to you later. Bye.